So welcome everybody to a Doc Talk. This particular conversation is about refugee support and alike ministries. And the reason why we're having this conversation is really because an amazing conversation I had with Lily Cameron from Ashland Christian Church, who told me her story and how that's going. And I just thought, gosh, I'm having so many conversations with so many people across the region, and it's just such an important ministry in the world. So why don't we just have a conversation about this, and starting with just I want to introduce Lily Cameron to you and say, Lily, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and also the story of the ministry that you're part of, and then we'll have questions, conversations, connections, and may the world get better through it. So Lily.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Bill. And thank you all for joining, and thanks for having me. I'm very excited to kind of share what we've been doing. Me personally, my story is that I was born in Iran, and my dad worked for the Shah, who was the king of Iran. And then when the revolution happened in 1979, they were going to kill us all, even though I was a cute little baby. And so we had to escape, and we came to America. Luckily for my parents, their parents really believed in education and believed in for them to learn English even before they even knew that they were ever going to come to America. So my mom had gone to school for a year in England to learn English, and my dad had actually come to America before to learn English, and then he had gone back to Iran. So when the revolution happened, a lot of our family escaped to Germany and other places in Europe, but we came here to America. And my parents had $8 in their pocket, and they just started working as much as they could. And my dad worked 3 jobs, and my mom would take care of me and my sister, and then she would go to work all night long. I don't know when she ever slept. And so they just worked very hard, and they always prioritized education. And so I was able to become a physician, and my sister became a pharmacist. And so my parents were very proud of us and very happy that they were able to come to America. They faced many, many challenges. And at that time in the 70s, well, early 80s, the hostage crisis happened in Iran. So it was very challenging for my parents to be Iranians in America. And so, I just feel like it's so important for us as a group, as Americans, as the church, as humans, just to reach out to those that come from a different country and are forced to leave their home, to come here so that we can help and support in any way. So the way that I got involved is my friend Tom Lynch. He's a pastor over at First Baptist Church of Ashland. So he asked me to help lead their refugee response, and they had been praying about it for many years, about how to help those in need, especially the international community and refugees. So I think we talked about it last April, and then we kind of hit the ground running in July. And first we connected with Reestablish Richmond, which is a organization that does a lot of good for refugees, and they help them a lot. And we talked to them a little bit, and then I happened to have a friend who had a master's in teaching English as a second language. And so I thought, well, here's this great opportunity that Tom wants me to get people in the church involved in the refugee response. And one of the most important things for refugees is to learn English. And here I have a friend that actually teaches English, has a master's as teaching English as a second language. So I thought, well, this is definitely God working his ways. And so we decided to start an English class. And we had previously been going to Ashland Christian Church. My husband's whole family goes there. And so I went to Ashland Christian Church, and I said, would you guys be interested in doing this English class with First Baptist? And then we work together, because, the more the merrier, the more help we can get, the more ideas and brainstorming, the more minds and the more hearts that are willing to help people, the better. And Ashland Christian Church was amazing. And they were all like, yes, we definitely want to help in as many ways as we can. So we went ahead and started the English class. I basically made a flyer about it. I translated it into Spanish and into Farsi, and put it circulated out through a couple different means, and we hadn't gotten anyone yet. So then I went to the local Afghan grocery store and put the flyer up, and within an hour we had 10 students enrolled. So we got our 10 Afghan refugee students, and we also had 3 Hispanic students that came into the class. And then we just started, and, we told them we're just trying it and doing our best, and we're going to see how it works. And hopefully they'll be along with us for the ride. And it was great. We had one of our we offered childcare and driving. So one of our drivers was Milton from Ashland Christian Church, and he was just wonderful. He was always so flexible about who he can go pick up. And one time I needed him to put a car seat in his car too. He's like, that's no problem. And so it was just very exciting for me to see all the different people that were coming together to help in this internationals ministry. So we did the English class, and then one day in October, one of the students came up to us and said, "Why are people putting pumpkins outside? Why are they putting skeletons outside?" And then we're like, "Oh yeah, we got to teach them about the holidays too." So we invited them to a Halloween festival we were having at First Baptist Church. So they came there. And then we were ending the class in November, and I talked to Bob, who's the interim pastor at Ashland Christian Church, Disciples of Christ. And I said, Thanksgiving's coming up. What do you think about doing something where we can have a Thanksgiving meal? And Bob's response was, absolutely, yes. Let's invite them to our Thanksgiving luncheon. And definitely one of the best things Ashland Christian Church does is their food. They always love to get together. My in-laws, it's one of their favorite things. They always say, we're eating lunch at church today. You guys have to come. So it's definitely, breaking bread is one of those times to just really bring people together. So we actually invited our students to actually bring some Afghan food as well. So they brought some food, and then we tried to make a good effort of making some meats that they can eat as well, and staying away from pork and things like that. And so we had a big Thanksgiving spread, and it was wonderful. It was just such a great cultural exchange. I think all the members of Ashland Christian Church were very excited. We had some of the volunteers from First Baptist come over for the Thanksgiving lunch, and then all the Afghan families and the Hispanic families as well were very excited to share Thanksgiving together. And then one of our volunteers had asked for if we can do Christmas presents for the family. So again, we just said, okay, let's do it. And so I made a virtual angel tree, which I'd never done before, but you just got to figure things out. And so I made a virtual angel tree, and the response from both churches and the surrounding community was amazing. People in my neighborhood and some of the other volunteers' neighborhoods in Ashland, as well as volunteers from both churches, everybody signed up. So we have a total of, I would say, 7 or 8 families, and then it's over 45 family members total. So I would say each one of those people that came got at least 5 presents each, and which was great. I mean, they said this being their first Christmas in America, they were so grateful that we made it such a special occasion for them. Now, I will say one of the families contacted me a couple days before the party and said, "Oh, well, we don't have any long sleeve shirts to wear. Do you happen to have any long sleeve shirts that you can get us?" And I said, "Okay, well, we'll get that as Christmas presents." But then I also thought, let's also get some donations as well. And then I had a lot of people that were reaching out to me anyways, that a lot of the angel tree slots had been filled, but they're like, "Well, can we also just donate items?" So I said, "That's fine. Yeah, let's just donate items too." So just in like 24 hours, we got a ton of donations that came in of clothes and toys and just different items. So then I figured we did the Christmas party the Thursday before Christmas over at Ashland Christian Church. And then that afternoon, we had all the donations set out, and we said, let's just open the doors to the any Hispanic families, any refugee families, any families in need. And I'd put it out. One of the best contacts I feel like are the school systems, because they know, you know, the families that are in need. They also know the international families that show up, because one of the first things they do is enroll their kids in school, even though some of these kids can't speak any English. And to me, you know, for me, my refugee experience wasn't very difficult because I was a baby. So my parents took care of everything. But it was difficult for my parents. But I personally feel like the most difficult is if you come from another country, you don't speak the language, and you have to leave all your friends and get put into middle school. To me, I think that's the hardest. Like, those are the kids that I feel like struggle the most. They remember it. The elementary school kids, you know, they have to move away from everything they know. So it's hard, but I really think for that middle school to enter into American middle schools is very challenging. So they immediately get hooked up with the ESL, the English as a second language teachers in the school system. So I basically put it out to the ESL teachers of Hanover County, and I basically said that, you know, we're going to open our doors at Ashland Christian Church a Thursday before Christmas. Send all your families in need, because it's really hard for international families, for example, to really find out about food pantries or clothing donations or things like that. So I make sure every flyer I translate, I put it not only in English, but also in Spanish and Farsi as well. So we circulated that out, and that afternoon we had over 100 people show up, 100 like Hispanic people that just showed up in Ashland. And I'm telling you, I was blown away, because I was like, I didn't even know Ashland had such a strong Hispanic community. Here we have like 3 people from the Hispanic community in our English class. So I had no idea. And I'm telling you, you want to see people being moved. All my volunteers were so moved that day. We had a little girl that had a tank top and shorts. That's all she had on. And if you remember, that week of Christmas was very, very cold. It was very extremely cold. And so we were able to get her some clothes. And then within 15 minutes, all our donations disappeared. It was all taken. We had a family from Peru that just got here that had 2 twin boys that were like 3 years old, and they needed clothes. So we actually started sending Ashland Christian Church members to Walmart and to my neighborhood. I put it on Facebook to my neighborhood, and I was like, we need more clothes. And immediately we got more donations pouring in. So since that day, we've held, and Carol LaHaye can speak to this as well, because she's been instrumental in, again, just saying yes. And just opening our doors. We've held the doors open 4 times for clothing giveaways. And we decided from Ashland Christian Church to do this the 3rd Saturday of every month, where we're going to open the doors to the Hispanic community, the refugee community, but also anybody in need. You know, it doesn't have to be internationals. We just are making sure that our brochure and advertising and our flyers are making the international community feel welcome. Anyone in need is going to be able to come and get whatever they need. No restrictions. We'll help them carry it out to their cars. You know, whatever donations that we get, they're welcome to take. Someone got an ottoman the other day. Someone got a lamp. We got dishes. We have some pots and pans. But then also, like, we'll have different focuses, like this coming up Saturday. We're doing specifically blankets, but then you can get everything else too. So we do have some new blankets coming in, and sometimes people donate new clothes. So it's just been amazing how this is really like snowballed with people that get excited, they get interested, and then just more and more things happen. I mean, wonderful things have been happening. Ashland Christian Church has a great outreach program. And, you know, when we started doing this, I went to them, I said, well, can you guys help out a little bit? they were able to donate $300. And so I split that up among our families and gave each family a $50 gift card to Target. And then myself and several volunteers, we took the families to Target for an English lesson, because really they need to learn how to speak and interact. And, we have this 75-year-old grandmother, traditional Afghan woman, that she struggles in the class a little bit. She's like, I don't need to read and write, which, I mean, part of it is correct. I don't think she actually does need to learn how to read and write in English, but she does need to learn how to speak, because she wants to do some grocery shopping and help her daughter-in-law at the store and things like that. So I like made her go up to, we asked one of the Target employees, like, can our English student come up to you and ask a question? And I made her go up. I said, you have to say, how much is this? So she went up and she said, how much? And I said, nope, you got to say, how much is this? You have to do it. And it was, not only, it was amazing. Not only they got some stuff they needed. I mean, you can't get but so much for $50 at Target, but they were able to really have our support from all the volunteers there with them when they were trying to speak English. And I think that's critical. So since the English class, we have one of the different things that we do with our English class that some English classes don't do, but being that we're running it out of two churches, or running it with volunteers from two churches, we like to provide a sense of community for these families. So we've basically started helping them with everything. We help them with job applications. We help find jobs for them. We have helped enroll. One of the families had a sister that is living with them and came here with them. And she was in medical school in Afghanistan when it fell in the fall of 2021. She was 3 months away from graduation. And so now she has to start all over again. But we were able to help her maneuver how to get enrolled into J. Sargent Reynolds to take English classes. And we helped her fill out the FAFSA. I'm telling you, that was a challenge. I remember having done that for myself in the past, but it didn't seem as hard. But now trying to do it with someone else, where like there's the language barrier. Luckily, I'm able to speak with them because I speak Farsi, being born in Iran, but they speak Dari, which is a little bit different, similar enough. They can understand me. I can't always understand them. Some words are different, but anyways, just trying to coordinate, filling out the FAFSA over the phone and like meeting in person and trying to navigate J. Sargent Reynolds. But it's literally a miracle. We were able to do it. She got enrolled. She got a Pell Grant. Then we needed to raise like $400 more. So then I reached out to the churches, and one of the church members at First Baptist happened to work in financial aid in a college before. So she knew exactly what to ask for. So I had her come with us when we went back to JSARG, and she was able to get the rest of the grant money so that this student can now attend college this semester. So it's things like that. Like it really just every single person on this call, every single person in your church, every single person that you even know, they all have some skill and some ability. And I feel like if we all work together, it's so much better, because there are things that some people can do in with like just a little bit of effort that it might take someone else a lot of effort to do. If we work together, we can really accomplish a lot. I'll say, like, one of the things I personally don't like to do is to lay out the clothes for all our clothing giveaways. I'm not organized in a clothing fashion. I can organize events, no problem. But you ask me to organize clothes by size, by style, or whatever, or hang clothes. Oh man, if you look at the pile of laundry that needs to be hung in my house, you would know for sure, like, that's not my forte. So, but it's great. Like some of the people at Ashland Christian Church, they love organizing clothes. They love setting the things out. So we all just play to our strengths, and we can help so many people. One of the other things was there was one family that him and his wife, and the other thing to remember is a lot of these refugee families, the ones that actually make it here from Afghanistan, a lot of them have had links to the government, to the US government somehow, because the ones that really don't have a good chance to get here at all. So one of our families used to make security checkpoint gates for he had a business that he does construction. And so a US company hired him to make security checkpoint gates in Afghanistan. So he was being paid by the US government. Well, the problem is when Afghanistan fell, he was immediately targeted, right? So his wife's parents, and I apologize if this is too graphic, but this is just their story. His wife's parents got blown up in a car and died. And her brother was in the car too. His brother got kidnapped by the Taliban and tortured, and his company got burned to the ground, and his workers were killed. A lot of his workers were killed. And when he recounts this story, he's in tears, because he's like, those people worked for me. They were my employees, and they got killed because we were working for the US government. So when everything happened and his brother was captured by the Taliban and being tortured, he immediately went to his brother's house, grabbed his 3 nephews, brought his 3 nephews as well as his own wife and 3 kids, and brought them here. So that's a family of 8 living in Mechanicsville right now, that they're struggling for food. They're struggling for trying to figure everything out. I mean, the kids are in Hanover High and Oak Knoll, and they don't speak English, but yet they're having to learn like calculus and algebra. I don't even know how that works, but it's challenging. And so we try to help them as much as we can. We help find the food pantries for them. We've helped them. We've given them like gift cards. But one of the things was like, he needs to go to work. So he needs a car, and it's a family of 8. So again, like, we put it out there to all the volunteers, and one of our volunteers called and said, I was just driving by Randolph-Macon College, and right across the street, there was this house that had a minivan for sale. And I was like, call them right away and find out how much it is and everything. And it was $4,000. So I got somebody who knows a little bit about cars to go check it out. And they said, yeah, it looks like a good car. So I told the family, and they're like, yeah, that's great, but we don't have $4,000. So I talked to Ashland Christian Church, and I said, look, this family needs the car in order to get to the jobs that they would need to actually make money, to actually survive in this country. And so Ashland Christian Church, again, generously was like, okay, we can provide the money. And so we talked to the sellers, and we said, look, your car is going to a really good cause. Can you lower the price a little? So we got them down to $3,500. And so, that was amazing. And so Ashland Christian Church's outreach program was able to pay for that car right before Christmas for this family. And it has been life-changing for them, and I think one of the things that we try to do is to, as much as we can, try to empower them. Like, that particular family wasn't able to pay their electric bill. So instead of just paying it for them, we're trying to figure out like ways that they can be on like Dominion's payment plan, or ways that they can, just figure out so that it's the long-term solution, not just a short-term solution. So, I mean, we've done a ton of other things, but I wanted to hit those highlights. And I know I've talked a lot nonstop. So I do want to let everyone kind of ask any questions they want to. And, I think one of my biggest things is to say, like, just pray for God to lead you in whatever way that he wants, to open your hearts to people that are from other countries, because at the end of the day, they're all just people, and we all can just work together. And I think one of the biggest things from Ashland Christian Church is just the way that they just say yes, and as a tribute to Martin Luther King, since it was just MLK Day, he said, what did he say? He said, you don't have to see this whole staircase, just take the first step. And really, if I had seen the whole staircase and all the stuff that I'd be involved in, it might have been overwhelming to know all that from the beginning. And I don't know if I would have taken that first step. No, I still would have. But it's just something that every single person out there can do something, and it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have, you can be just driving somebody, it can be just saying, okay, my church is going to open the doors and hand out donations. Or it can be more, it can be, okay, we want to start an English class, or we want to reach out to families in need and international refugee families. What can we do? How can we do that? So there's so many different ways to help, and there's so many different ways to get involved. So I'm open to any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Lily. See, this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know we can talk about this and all the technical pieces, and we can learn and all the, but listening to a story, I think, opens up the conversation. So that's what I'm hoping today. So, I mean, I have 3 or 4 questions follow up, but I'm going to open it up first to the rest of the group. Are there any questions from the rest of the group or follow up with the story? Carol, you may want to see something from the life of the church too, because that's one of my questions as I listened to your story twice now, is as much as I think you figured out a way. I love the fact that you just figured it out, and that's what I love, but it seems also that this had to also change the life of the church, giving it purpose, and I wondered about that, whether or not you saw any of that part of the story.
Well, I think when Lily presented it to us, it was a bit overwhelming, and like, I don't know, the same people do the same things over and over, and are we spreading ourselves too thin? Should we get involved? Are we in over our heads? And little by little, there were some of us that took that first step, as Lily mentioned, and we just kind of embraced what she was offering and tried to. I'm the facilities manager, so that's how I got involved more than anything, is making sure that our facility was available and open to whatever she needed, tables, all of that kind of stuff. And then other members that have said, I want to help with that, I want to do that, and they see the excitement that Lily has brought to us, and we're hoping to expand. We even had a meeting that we wanted to decide after the holidays if this was something that we really wanted to continue. Could we continue to support it? Was there enough was there enough help that was going to support it? And we decided that at least we could try it for 3 months. And then Lily and I, maybe some others too, said, let's have a focus. Let's have a focus each month. And so, like Lily mentioned, this one coming up on Saturday is for blankets, because, as she already mentioned too, that week that we did the first one, it was really cold, and people were looking for blankets, jackets, gloves, anything that was going to keep them warm. And so we decided that blankets would be our focus this month, and then I think next month we're focusing on kind of underwear, socks, something like that, and then go from there. But I've been amazed. I have to admit personally that it was something that I didn't see myself being involved in, but being the facilities manager has just kind of dwarfed into being her contact person now for Ashland.
Sorry.
Great. As a question, the other thing that linked that I knew I had to have this conversation was the fact that we've got several churches around the region trying to figure this out, and I know it's overwhelming at times, and I just wanted to provide a little bit of inspiration, but also in the story it made sense that if there was something that we were connected, that we knew each other, we'd be more likely to be able to say, you know what, we've got an extra 300 coats down here in Lynchburg.
Right.
How can we connect, or that, something like that. So others on the call today, do you have any questions or adding a resource? Alan?
Yeah, hi. I would be happy to add a resource, and I would say one of the resources. So let me maybe introduce myself a little bit. So I'm Alan. I am the Associate Director for Immigrant and Refugee Response with the Week of Compassion. And so it's a relatively new role in the church, but most of what I do is to try to connect with congregations that are doing this work or wanting to learn more about this work, to be able to help in whatever way to make it as easy as possible, to offer support, to offer connections, whatever the case may be. And this has just been amazing, Lily. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'd love to connect with you more another time. I'll share my info in the chat, and we could maybe make that happen.
Absolutely.
Because, like Lily was saying, there are just so many ways that churches can support refugees. And
Mhm.
so often people think that the only way is to do refugee resettlement, which
Mhm.
is a way, but that can also be a very expensive way, a very time-consuming way, and a lot of commitments that maybe churches aren't always ready for. So part of my role is to help congregations that are ready for that step and wanting to be engaged in that way, to help make sure that they feel supported in that process, but then also to help offer support, connections, sometimes financial resources for other churches that are looking to be involved, but maybe not at that level. And so I'm also happy to be available. I certainly don't want to jump in where, there are already so many great connections, but just to offer my support wherever is possible, and to share, and I'll share some of this in the chat, so I'm not just talking the whole time, but there are some grant opportunities through Week of Compassion as well. So one of them is for the Afghan evacuees, because there was such little support from the federal government that is normally afforded to refugees. Week of Compassion has been supplementing and offering $2,000 grants for congregations working with Afghan evacuees. And I believe I see Ben Moore on here from Timberlake, and their congregation was a recipient of one of those grants. And so we have that grant. We have another one that we're starting this year for an equity grant for congregations that are part of La Obra or Convocation or NAPAD that are looking to be involved. But yeah, just wanting to, a lot of what I do is to talk with church leaders, lay leaders, pastors, to say, okay, where's your heart? Where's your passion? Where's your ministry? And what can we do to help make that happen? And so having good connecting churches like this is essential for how we make it happen, especially in disciples, especially because not everybody is big, not everybody can do everything, but together we can piece together ministry that's far bigger and far more impactful than any one of us could do alone. So I'll just share some information in the chat, and then I'm going to have to hop off for another call at 12:45. But this has been so great. Thank you so much. And now I'll be quiet and do more listening and sharing information. So thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Alan. I look forward to speaking with you more.
Exactly why we have these kind of conversations. So the other thing is, I know that our churches, particularly, when they're close proximity, I know that you mentioned Mechanicsville. We have a disciple church there. And I know that if we figured out a way to contact them directly, I'm pretty sure they want to be involved in some way.
Okay.
Andrew is not too far away as well.
Nice.
And Andrew is the president of the district up in that area. And Andrew may want to say more.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. And hey, everyone. Lily, first off, this has been an amazing story, listening to you tell it. But yeah, as Bill alluded to, I am from Holly Grove Christian Church, which is the very southeast corner of Louisa County. But I'm also the president of District 10, which is all the disciples churches west of Ashland, out to Charlottesville, north of the James River, thereabouts. So it's 11 congregations. And when we were in the process, I guess you could say, of reforming our district or our bonds within our district, one of the things that we identified that we would like to work on together is refugee and immigrant assistance. And we don't know what to do. so this has been a very helpful listen. And also, I think there's probably a lot of opportunities where we could work with helping y'all and learning from you at the same time what you're doing. Like I said, there's 11 congregations, and we are pretty anxious to get involved. And we've got one congregation in particular that is very heavily involved already with immigrants in Louisa County. So yeah, we are here, and we would love to help and learn from you.
Awesome. Well, that's wonderful. Well, I'd love to connect more. And for all of you, any of your church members, any of you, you guys are all welcome to come to any of our English classes, or to come and just see like what we do and how we do things. And just, or if you have somebody that just personally wants to volunteer right away and they want to come, or we do our English classes on Thursday mornings, and we're always interested in more volunteers, because that's when the volunteers get that chance to interact with these families and get to know them. And then when they have a struggle or when they have a need, that they reach out to me, then someone can say, oh wait, I remember them from English class, like I'll come. And one of our family members their son has a dentist appointment tomorrow, and he's going to get like 7 teeth pulled, and so we just need a volunteer to go sit with them and just be there with them. So yeah, you guys are always welcome to join what we're doing, and I'd love to help you guys start more programs like where you guys are at too. And one of the other things I will mention is, just connections are so vital and so important. So one of like the best connections was I got in touch with this person named Zach from Specialty Move, and he has a moving company, but he also when people want to donate furniture, or when they have estate sales and things like that, then he has a company where he'll go and pick it up for a small fee, and then he'll store it at his warehouse. And then he reached out to me saying, I know you work with refugees. Do they need any furniture? Do they need dishes? Do they need small appliances? And so I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so it was really a great connection, where he has a warehouse in Oilville. And so, of course, I first was overwhelmed. I was like, how am I going to go to Henrico to pick up these families, take them all individually to Oilville, then take them back home, and then I come home back to Ashland, or take our Mechanicsville family. But all the families, they all really want to do stuff for themselves too. So when I told them about the resource of going to this warehouse, all I had to do was set an appointment. They all said they will figure out a way to get there. So the Mechanicsville family, who has that we got the minivan for them, I mean, it took them an hour and a half to find Oilville, but they got lost a few times, but they made it and they got there. And Zach was great. I was like, they don't speak English. He's like, that's fine. I'll still work with them. I'll wait for them in the parking lot. And so it's been really great that like they've been able to get furniture, and we have people always wanting to donate beds or donate different items. And, and really, I mean, it speaks to just the working together. Like, one of the families that came that Thursday afternoon when we were handing donations, they had a little baby and they didn't have a crib. And one of my friends had just posted on Facebook that she was getting rid of her crib. So I showed them the picture. I said, do you want this? And they said, yeah. So I asked my friend to deliver it. My friend said, that's fine. We'll deliver it to them. They're in Ashland and we're in Ashland, but we don't have a mattress. So I was like, okay, well, I can get a mattress from Target, but I can't go pick it up. I don't have time. It was right before Christmas. I got 4 kids. And so Carol was like, I'll go pick it up and take it. And it's just that working together that it's just so amazing. That's how things get done, because you make a lot happen by just working together and collaborating like this.
Yeah, Andrew may want to follow up on that too. That's one of the things that I was thinking, and why another reason for the conversation is I don't like meetings just for meeting's sake. Yes, I got enough of those. But it might make sense. I'm a person who likes to, and I don't say that I'm a rogue, but I think sometimes structure holds us back. And right now in the region, what I'm about is just saying, you know what, this is a ministry. We may want to figure out a way to offer some moments where we at least do have more conversations to talk with how we might work together or learn from one another beyond this conversation. Because just even in this conversation, I hope that people learned a couple things that might help them, inspire them, including that learning I think you picked up on, which was amazing how you can put up 800 flyers, but if you actually put the language of which people are reading,
Mhm.
it might work, I mean, I know that's so frustrating. You do all this work and no one shows up, and then you realize, oh, they can't even read what we're putting up.
Right, right.
So,
And
yeah.
very easy because I don't even speak Spanish, and the Farsi that I know how to write and read, but not very well. And so I just went to Google Translate and I would just copy and paste and put it in there and then copy and paste it into the flyer. And, I would send a copy of the flyer to one of my friends that speaks Spanish for her to proof it. And then I would send a copy to my mom to proof the Farsi language. A lot of times my mom will say, well, this word is not the best way to say it. You can say it like this or say it like that. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not typing it. I'm just copying and pasting from Google. I'm like, is it good enough? And she would be like, yeah, it's fine. It's good enough. So, you don't have to know the language to be able to put the flyer in multiple languages. And that's the beauty of the internet nowadays. We didn't have that back in the 80s to be able to. A lot of these family members communicate like that. When I send them to different food banks, they just go on Google Translate. They can say what they want in their language and then it translates into English for them. So I mean, one of the biggest challenges I've found is they can't use the translation apps to make doctor appointments and dentist appointments. And so that's something that takes a lot of time to do those things. And I've been helping them with it, but trying to figure out like what's a better system or what's a better way to kind of empower them to maybe for them to be on the hold for 45 minutes until the doctor answers or the office answers to make the appointment instead of me being on hold and then calling them and looping them in once I have someone on hold. Thank you, Alan. It was very nice to meet you.
Excellent. Again, any other questions on this? And again, this will be, placed up. And if you have questions, you're listening to this later, and you want to connect, please reach out to me, and I'll make all the connections, or I'll attach contact information with the video as well. So
yeah, absolutely. You're welcome to share my email. Anyone can email me, whatever support and guidance and that I can help provide to get more people interested in this. I mean, I'll just say one other little story. Like my mom used to fight every Christmas Eve because she wanted my sister and I to be able to go to church on Christmas Eve, and she wanted to hear the Christmas music. And my dad was very traditional, so he didn't really want us to be going to church to hear Christmas music or anything. And so my mom struggled a lot to just get us there on Christmas Eve. And I really feel like if even just one person had turned around, we would always sit in the back. And if one person had turned around and just said welcome to my mom and just tried to talk to her and, just had a conversation, it would have just made her feel so much better. But, I think back in the 80s, people weren't as welcoming or as open or as tolerant as people are now. So I'm really glad that we're doing this. And I'm really glad that these refugees that are coming now will have a different experience and a more embracing experience than my parents did.
Andrew?
Just two questions, one for Lily and one for you, Bill. Lily, I remember at the beginning of our conversation when Mr. Lynch was on the call, and he's from First Baptist Church, and I
Yes.
know Ashland Christian Church is involved. Are there other community churches in Ashland involved in this, or?
So far, it's just those two churches.
Okay.
Yeah. I've
Well,
talked to the branch a little bit. I've talked to the branch a little bit, and they have a really strong tutoring program that they do. And so they were putting a lot of focus on that, but they were really helpful in getting us the donated car seats that we use for transporting the kids to come to the class for the childcare.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, I like the ecumenism of it. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bill, I know you're recording this, and I'm hoping that you will be expedient in getting it out there for everyone to enjoy. Maybe even a nice QR code I can include in my newsletter to all the folks in District 10, so we can share this with everyone possible. And God bless you all. And Ashland Christian Church, I love you. I had the pleasure of filling the pulpit there one day. and it was fantastic. I hope you all are all doing well. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank-
Andrew.
Excellent. Any other questions? What I would add to, and we'll connect that, is as much as there's a week of compassion grants, Alan mentioned that. We'll try to connect that in as well. What's new in the region is that we now have what we call new ministry grants. It's interest money that came off of the original gift from the summit, which was just a few $1,000s. That turned into $1.4 million a few years later when they sold the facility. We then use the interest every single year. This is our first year to inspire churches to try something new. So if it's a brand new ministry, which these would be, we invite you to apply for grants. Those grants are heard by the Administrative Council each month. So it's an ongoing kind of thing. We have so much money we can give away per year, but we hope that some of you might apply for some of that grant money to encourage this kind of ministry. So any other questions for today? I just want to thank everybody then for participating in this conversation and hope that more things come from it.